Yo, what's going on, everybody? Thank y'all for tuning in to OTI here on Ethos Media Network. I'm your boy Flaw. I'm here with my co-host rather, the homie Twan. We got the homie Shane as well. This is OTI where we go over a variety of things open to interpretation. Everybody has one. Fellas, y'all good? What's up? How's everybody doing?
Doing great, man. How about y'all?
I'm well.
He's well.
I'm not Twan fresh off the plane. You know what I'm saying? We gotta.
I'm well.
No, I'm well.
I'm well. I'm well.
Fully sums up the space I'm in. I'm not
This nigga ordered. They said that shit like a steak. Well,
like I'm well. Yeah, man. I'm in this space. I'm well.
That's
Okay.
what's up.
All right. Well, I'm glad that you're well. This is oh my god. Anyway, moving right along. I hope everybody out there tuning in is doing well as well. We like to thank you all for always supporting the show and the network. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend, a girlfriend, a boyfriend, a best friend, a friend you ain't supposed to have. Tell all them friends. And make sure y'all go ahead and tune in with us right here on Ethos. But today, we're going to start off with, Shane had a question pre-show, so I think that'll be actually a better place to start because it was so open-ended, and I'll let him kind of bring you guys up to speed on what this is and how this is going to go. So Shane, the floor is yours.
So it's a question, and a response that I saw. But just the question is interesting. It's something that I saw on Twitter. Question is, what hurts more, realizing or finding out? And then the response is realizing by far. Do you know the pain of waking up at night because now the math ain't mathing? So, but the question, what hurts more, realizing or finding out?
I mean, I guess that 100% depends on the context of what we're talking about. 1,000%. 1,000% depends on the context of what you're talking about. I mean, y'all think something different?
I think realizing kind of always hurts worse because at that point you've had time is had whatever it is, somebody passes away, your significant other cheats on you, your best friend told on you, whatever the case is. Like when you initially find out, you don't have enough time to process all of the emotions that you're feeling. So you typically lean in one direction really heavily immediately. You're either shocked or you're angry or you're real sad or you're whatever the case is. But when you realize what happened, you've had time to dwell on it. You've had time to sit with it. You've had time to look at it from every angle. And it's like, damn, I can't believe that shit happened. Or maybe you can believe that shit happened and that makes it worse. So that's why I think realizing pretty much in all cases is worse than finding out.
Tom, what you think about that, man? You agree with this? You agree with this guy?
I think it's based on literally the situation. Because there's some not so serious things that I don't really think it's a difference between finding out and realizing. It kind of goes to one and the same. I think finding out and realizing is more of an emotional thing, and that tends to come with something very emotional. To me, realizing is about acceptance. So that's like, when my mother passed, I wasn't in Atlanta. I got a call like, hey, your mother went to the hospital. Then I went to another call like, oh, she didn't make it. So obviously when somebody told me like, oh, your mom didn't make it, I'm like, okay, my mother is dead. But the realization of my mother passing didn't come until later when, I wanted to pick up the phone and call her and I couldn't, or I was wondering how her day was. That's a different process. To me, realization is about acceptance. The same thing if you get cheated on and you be like, oh man, somebody like, man, I saw your girl or your dude with such and such, such and such, such and such. And it's like, yeah, it's all rhetoric. And you may not believe it. You know what I mean? You may have disbelief in that moment. But once you go through the process and everything start adding up, and it's like, oh damn, you know, she really was stepping out on me. Then that realization has to happen, because once you realize, once you accept, you have to do something after that. And a lot of people don't want to realize because they don't want to put no action behind whatever the situation is.
But that's why I think it's harder though, because it's because you have to act on it now. Now that you know, you have to do something. That's an uncomfortable position, to be forced to do something, versus I can choose to ignore this right now, because you know what I mean.
I think we should have just worded it different and say what is harder, not what hurts more, because it both hurt. Like, I was hurt as fuck when they told me my mom was dead. It didn't hurt me any worse, but the realization of it made me realize, like, damn, okay, I got to move forward with my life. The hurt was the same, but it was harder once I realized it, because then I had to put action behind that realization. And whether that's death, whether that's getting fired, whether that's getting cheated on, whatever it is, once you realize it, and that leads to acceptance, then you gotta do something, whatever that action might be. But when you in that middle part, you kind of could be in a state of shock, a state of bliss, and you can kind of have analysis by paralysis, and you don't really have to move, because you like, well, I ain't even thought this through. I ain't even fucking don't even know where to go with this, so I'm not doing nothing. Once you realize something, you have to do something. And that, to me, is where it gets hard, because you know, you may not want to grieve. You may not want to accept the fact that you're about to go through a grieving process, or whatever the situation may be. So I think realization is a little bit harder, because it puts you back into reality of, I have to address this situation. I have to move forward, and whatever that forward move it is, you know, and that can be tough if you're not emotionally ready for whatever the situation is.
I mean, saying this is your question, bro. What do you have to say?
I mean, what do you think?
I'm not getting involved in this shit. Like, what do you have to say? What do you have to say to what he said?
I mean, he's speaking to mostly to a perspective that I can't necessarily, fully empathize with, because I haven't gone through it myself. I can imagine what it's like, and I know that it's, very difficult.
Let's pick something simpler then. Let's pick something that I think we're all old enough and man enough to admit that we've all been cheated on.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we're all at a place where we can admit that this has happened, then let's use that, because it is a baseline emotion that most grown men can agree with. So let's use that as the baseline instead of losing a mom or a parent. Let's use that.
It's exactly the same. I stated it the same. Like,
no, I just wanted to flip it around for Shane, not even for you. I was flipping it for him to be able to say,
like, okay, the hurt, it was hurt. Like, when I first heard or had suspicion, I was hurt. When it was confirmed, I was hurt. But the realization was only more difficult, because then I had to make a decision. Like, am I about to try to work this out? Am I walking away? What is now I need to know the details to decide if I do want to work on it, or do I want to walk away? Like, how did this go down? So you just get to, once you realize, you get to digging for information, and it might pull back layers and layers and more layers of hurt. Because you have to.
So from that perspective, I feel like that's why I say realizing hurts more, because there's more to it. Like, when you find out, you could find out because you walk in and you see something and it's like, oh shit, clearly you just didn't expect me to be here. And you know what I'm saying? I caught you slipping. Like you could find out going through the phone. There's a multitude of reasons how you could find out. If you find out by going through the phone, then that means there's another issue there because you've already had suspicion. Otherwise, you're not going through the phone. So there's other reasons why realizing I think it, because it compounds it. Like you said, you got to peel back the layers. It's now you're thinking about, did I do something? You know, if I had done something different, could I have prevented this? Is this something that's been going on for a long time that I'm just now finding out about? Is this a new situation? If it's a new situation, what went wrong? Like there's all these different extra thoughts that come with realization that I feel like aren't possible at the find out stage. Like at the find out stage, you might just walk in and, like I said, just be pissed off because you caught your bitch cheating, and now all of a sudden you're furious. That doesn't, you're not necessarily hurt in that moment. You're pissed off and angry, and that later you'll probably.
I mean, it's every single emotion at once in that situation. I don't think that you're not hurt in that situation. You're not hurt. Your feelings ain't no more hurt later on than they are with you walking in on that encounter. I would argue that your feelings ain't gonna be no more hurt than that specific moment of you realizing that your bed ain't your bed, or whatever dynamics and situations that you want to add on that to make that encounter worse.
But see, I disagree because
out there in the world.
The reason I disagree is because I feel like you get to that point, but in the shock of the moment of finding out, because a finding out is like a 1 second thing. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, what do you feel in that 1 second of finding out? Like,
but because you might, there's a cluster. That's why people cry when they're angry, and because they're dealing with a variety of emotions at once. It's like when you get punched in the face, you're not just dealing with the fact that you got punched in the face. You're dealing with the fact that your nose hurt, your eye may hurt, your lip may be bleeding, your feelings is hurt. You want to know who it was. What was this person thinking? Who just saw me get punched in the face? These are all of the things that are wrapped into you getting punched in the face that you got to deal with. It's not just, I got punched.
But are you processing that in the moment, though?
Yes.
You're processing all of those emotions at one time in the second of finding out.
No,
you're experiencing all of them, but you're not processing none of that shit.
You are fully aware. Okay. I won't speak for anybody else. I'm man enough to say I got hit in the face. I've won mine. I've lost mine. I can tell you exactly where I was and what the dynamics were and how crystal clear life got every situation that I encountered on that level.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I can't lean back on, I got caught living in the moment and it just happened in front of me and I was just there. It's like, no, I made conscious decisions. Because when the nigga hit me in my face, I also had to make the quick calculation on if I was going to shoot this nigga or not. Mm-hmm. Which, so I can't say that I'm reasonable enough and measured enough to be able to make that calculation. But I'm not processing in real time. I can't say both. Okay. Because otherwise, one directly leads me to an emotional response, which is what Twan was talking about. A lot of this stuff we're talking about is emotion based, and I think the line might be on how you handle
it. Yeah.
Because
I was making, I think both sides of the tale can be completely true. It's not one right answer because it's all based on each individual human and how they process and how they experience things. Everybody's different. Like some people have uncontrolled rage and they might just flip out, beat somebody up, kill somebody. Then when they sit in the jail cell, everything hits them and they realize they threw their life away.
That's when they realize, though. That's not when they're finding out. You know what I'm saying? They're finding out that they're going to jail on the ride to jail.
Talk about, you know how many stories it is? Man walks in on his wife cheating. He pulls out a gun and kills her and the dude.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like in that moment, he obviously had an avalanche of emotions. Mm-hmm. But then once your adrenaline comes down, he's in handcuffs. He be feeling dumb, like fuck. Like now X, Y, and Z. Now I'm fighting a case.
So that's my question then. When his adrenaline's up and he just freshly shot him, do you think in that very second he instantly starts feeling the regret and all of that stuff? Or do you think it takes a minute for the adrenaline to go down and then for him to realize what he did? And then it's like, oh shit,
I'm gonna keep
that part hurts worse to me. I would assume.
And that's why I just said I think it's a personal opinion because I done seen scenarios or situations where a motherfucker pop a motherfucker, then instantly drop the gun and it instantly hits him. Like, oh fuck. Mm-hmm. So I think it's all an individual thing and how you process your emotions. Like me personally, I try to live by a little different, like, damn, okay, I'm hurt. My feelings is hurt. I get it. And then the first thing that I do is I talk to myself like, well, damn, am I dumb because I put these expectations on a motherfucker? Da 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 da. Right? So everybody is different. I think when you talk dealing with matters of the heart, it's a completely person-to-person situation of what might hurt worse. Because this is the point I'm making. A nigga might walk in on his chick cheating and be like, oh my God, I'd be heartbroken. Then when he get in the car and he's a logical person, he's like, well, what did I expect? I treat her like shit. I done got caught cheating 80,000 times. You see what I'm saying? Like, the logic of it might kick in and it might hurt less. Like, well, this was expected.
But I'm speaking from the perspective of that happening and the logic kicking in, making it hurt more. Because then you realize I did some shit that potentially led to this. I could have prevented it. Now you got regrets.
But why is that gonna make it? I wouldn't say that would make it hurt more because you know what you've been doing. You're a grown man. You're accountable.
But you didn't get caught yet.
You didn't about you getting caught.
Or in your mind, you didn't get caught.
That has nothing.
Because you think you're getting away with it. That's why you're still doing it.
That has nothing. That's not necessarily why you're doing it. That has nothing to do with your accountability that you have. You know your record.
That's what I was about.
A real man knows record. You know your record. So you know your record whether you caught or not. You know your record. So if you a real nigga who comes across some shit where you see some ill shit, you may never say nothing to her. But for you, you're sitting in a seat where you're like, you a hypocrite? Because it's one thing to be clean and have that opinion.
No, I think if you were to act on it, or if you were to like treat her as if she's a worse person than you for doing the same thing, then yes, you'd be a hypocrite. You're not a hypocrite for being hurt.
No, you're a hypocrite. No, you're a hypocrite if you've done the same, and because you have not gotten caught, you have to give off a particular image as though you're clean because you're pretending to be clean. So it's not like you might like that doesn't work that way. In the analogy that Twan gave you, you got caught cheating as well. She's caught me cheating. I've been foul to her. I've been these things.
Yeah, so now if that's the case,
his circumstance of what he just outlined, that will make perfect sense.
Right.
Because it's like I'm aware of what I've done, and then two, she's also aware of some of the things that I've done.
Then I have no argument against that. Yeah.
If you got some people that are logical thinkers, because like you said, the first thing most people think about is like, well, why? Why is my chick cheating? And if you can't be honest with yourself, if you're a shitty boyfriend, then now we're talking about a whole different scenario, and you have accountability issues. A lot of different shit that you probably need to get figured out. Because I know a lot of niggas who caught their bitch cheating and they take it on the chin like, damn, okay.
No, I've seen that.
I've seen
that. I know niggas just flat out said, I got her beat.
I've seen that. I
just got her beat. Like, I just heard, like, I know for a fact I have her beat. And it's like,
I think it's a perfect situation, fellas. But I mean, hey, what do y'all think out there in the metaverse and the world, man? I think it's a case by case basis of how people deal with their emotions. Because the one thing I'm realizing in life is every human being process emotion, grief, happiness, anger differently. We're all so different, and how we process all these emotions we deal with as human beings. Like, that's just something I'm coming to a
Yeah, I
better.
mean, it's the truth. It's the simplest form of it. I mean, that's what we're all doing. We're all processing and trying to figure out the best way to express ourselves and be true to ourselves. And we all, we all feel misunderstood or misinterpreted. So, that's the way that goes. Anything else interesting happening? I mean, I know Shane, was there another side to that as well? Because I mean, I know that was your question that you had, but I do think it's important to let's see if you had another side of it to address.
Nah, I think we pretty much fleshed that out. I got y'all's thoughts, you know what I mean? I think I stated mine. I think it was dope, you know what I'm saying? But nah, I think we good. We got that covered.
All right. All right, we'll transition and segue on to our next topic. I think we should get on into I guess the question someone asked us was for like some dating advice. I guess was the way to phrase this. Um, so I guess the scenario is a guy is dating a young lady for about 2.5 years, 3 years, and he is looking to start his family. She is apparently focused on her career. She's a couple years younger than him. And the question is, how long should he be willing to wait for her?
That's such a personal thing. So you're asking. So are we asking each person to
I mean,
answer?
they're asking for from your perspective. I mean, obviously we can't answer for this guy, but we can definitely
Well,
give our perspectives.
I like to start from the beginning, and this is something that I always wondered because I just feel like a lot of couples just lack communication, and that's where shit go wrong. Because let's go backwards. Let's rewind 2.5 years. At no point during that 2.5 years did y'all discuss when y'all wanted to start a family or your perception of starting a family, or he had to know that his girl was a career woman, and obviously he had to have some type of career. So I'm just saying, why do these conversations not be had before y'all get deep into the situation? Because what I'm saying is, if he truly knew, man, I want to have a family by 3 years, I think more people should be definitive in what they really want and put it out there in the beginning of dating.
I don't think a lot of people necessarily even are sitting down with that clarity for themselves in the first place.
You're making my point. You're not dating with purpose.
Yeah, I mean, you have to first be. I don't think if you sat down with most people and asked them like specifically, what do you want, that they could even properly answer the question.
That's the point I'm making. That's still on them not doing the internal work. Because what I'm saying is, when you don't address that, whether that's a man or a woman, they get put on this clock. That's fucked up to the person you're putting on the clock. Because I went into this situation not thinking it was a clock, thinking we was flowing. So if you knew that, you should have put that on the floor before we even got deep into whatever the hell we getting into. And I just think people as human beings don't do enough inner work in really asking themselves what makes them happy. And I'm gonna be honest, I think a lot of humans live in the moment. Like, oh, you might want a family now, homeboy, because your brother, you watching your nephews grow up. But do you really want a family? Is that really what you want? Too many people live in the moment of their emotions and don't think about what constitutes a family. Okay, you want a family, brother. Are you willing to pay all the bills while this woman who's clearly making money takes maternity leave? Are you willing to subsidize whatever stoppage is going to be in her career? Like, it's a lot of shit that come with that. Just willy-nilly, I want a family. Well, nigga, somebody else's life is about to be turned upside down. Why ain't y'all discussing it? You didn't just you didn't wake up one day on tip like, I want a family now. So that means you skipped a lot of conversations when you could have been hitting that, what you think about us having a kid? And then she might have told you like, I ain't trying to have a kid for 5 years. Then
I mean, my man didn't give us a whole lot of details. So in all fairness, they could have had serious conversations. And what I mean, one thing that I'll say is,
Flaw. Let me finish this because I my stream of thought. This is the point I'm making. This actually goes more on what Shane was just talking about. Too many people are scared because guess what? If he would have asked the woman the question directly, not concise, not being funny, and she told him, "Well, I don't want to have a baby until," right? That means at that point he's going to realize she don't want a family right now. And when he realized that, he has to make a decision. And that be the toughest part of, do I walk away from somebody that I think is a great boyfriend or girlfriend based off my realization? A lot of people don't want the action, Flaw, because it ain't hard to ask the question.
No, the answers is what you got to deal with.
Exactly. You
But that
know,
goes. I mean, that's always been the case. Though. And, you know, that historically goes. I mean,
that's
that
like
goes back forever.
sit before the Most High, living, and ask God, am I on the track to heaven or hell? How many people really want that answer? How many people?
Yeah.
I say, well, if you died today, you probably would go to hell, my boy. People don't like asking different questions. That's all I'm saying. It's something, and I get it because it's the fear of what the answer might be, and then I think it's even more the fear of how do you have to respond to
Oh
the.
no, it's definitely like once it's confirmed that this is the world I'm living in, it's no different. It's no different than the person that don't want to go run up on their doctor because it's time to get a diagnosis.
Facts. Same difference.
No
They don't
different.
deal with the answer and they don't want to deal with the response to the answer. But I would tell
Exactly.
you and your woman just got to communicate. And you should have communicated that the moment it started churning in your belly that you wanted a family, some kids. Because then that might lead to this. Because I know a lot of men who might be okay with a kid, but not necessarily okay with getting married. Now that's going to lead to, what are her expectations of you planting a seed in her? What does she want in return for that?
A
What
lot
makes
of
her?
things. It's a lot of things to discuss, and it'd be unfair for us to say that they haven't. So you know, we're gonna hope my man's wish you the best. Definitely, anybody out there who's looking for more advice from the guys, please definitely be sure to drop it in, and please give more details so that we will be able to have a better understanding of your situation to be able to properly advise you. Um, what else is going on in the world? Like, is it anything else cooking in the world? I mean, we talked about relationships. I see some stuff in the Twitter sphere or the X sphere. I don't even know what the fuck this is called anymore.
Everybody still
Uh,
call it Twitter.
I mean, that's wild. All the money that they spent on this damn logo, rebranding this shit for y'all niggas just decide to call it something else.
Everybody, fuck all that.
Well,
X.
I hope my boy Elon ain't spent a lot of money on an X. I could have made
No,
that.
no, I don't think it was the. I'm not talking about him spending the money on the logo itself. I'm just talking about all the places that Twitter was hung.
Oh yeah, the rebranding. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
literally the yeah, like for y'all to just decide, no, we're not gonna call it that. All right, we
You know what the
cool.
problem is though, is because the action doesn't have a name no more. Like it used to be called tweeting. You know what I'm saying? But
True,
now it's
yeah.
just what is you
Xing,
just posting. Like, yeah,
Xing,
Xing, that feels weird
Xing.
to say. So it's like, you know what I'm
I don't
saying?
even
It's like, all right, I
know.
guess I'm just posting shit on X. Like, you know, you used to be tweeting. Now I think that's the problem. So everybody's like, nah, nigga, it's Twitter. Come on
I
with
mean, I
something
get
better.
it. I get it. Any new music? Any new music? Anybody's been hearing that's been interesting? Oh man.
Nah, no music, Twan.
Oh, Jesus.
I was listening to I'm not exactly sure when it came out, but the newest Nas project, Magic 3, I think it's called.
mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Been listening to that.
It's the last record with the last him and Hit Boy album, I think, right?
Yeah. All of them bitches been A1. It was a joint on there with him and Wayne where everybody was going crazy on the internet for a couple of days at least, saying that Wayne smoked him on the verse. I wouldn't go that far, but I would definitely say that Wayne's verse was better. You know what I'm saying? I'll give him that. And this is coming from a huge Nas fan. Like, Flaw knows this. So, you know, for me to admit that Wayne has a better verse on than Nas on a Nas track, I'm giving Wayne props on that. So, you know.
I'm gonna be honest. Like, I had to look in the mirror and realize that finally losing the physical medium of music, and the last medium of music I had was an iPod. It's killed my. Let me get the right word. Priority of music. And I didn't realize that, like, when I was a kid and I was listening to CDs and then things moved to the iPod, I was in a musical mode. And when I would go to that CD player or that Walkman or whatever, or put a CD in my car, something about it being physical just kept me in tune, or it didn't have to compete with nothing else. I think music's biggest problem is it competes with everything now. Like, I try to go on Tidal and listen to an album, then I get a clip from YouTube telling me they just posted some new Barry Sanders highlights. Then I get something else from social media sites, and you got all these things competing for your attention in the music space. When me being my age, music never really had to compete with nothing. Like, and it's just sad to me, because it's like, damn, I used to be the guy that literally would lug around booklets.
CD case. The CD case in the car. And that's why niggas used to be mad when niggas used to break into niggas' cars. Like, because they wouldn't even steal the car back in the day. They would hit you for that CD case, and they would steal the radio. Yeah.
Then I realized my attachment to music is in the phone. You know,
that was back before niggas had the CD faces that could come off and make them less valuable.
Oh no, yeah, no. I came along with the detachable face CDs.
Yeah, you had the detachable joint.
But I'm talking about the fact that you had time. I'm trying to tell people what I realized, and there's obviously no going back because it's technology. We weren't as busy. And what I mean by that, I can literally remember leaving my driveway, popping in the CD to go pick up my best friend or one of my niggas or one of my cousins. And people wasn't using cell phones to blow everybody up and text you and call you. You had time to listen to the music. You was in your own space with the music. People wouldn't inundate you. And if you're old enough to think about when you really texting wasn't really a thing. People wasn't really calling you every 5 minutes, because a lot of niggas' free minutes didn't even start till 9.
Start till 9. It wasn't free till 9.
So it's like,
what you over there talking about that? Hey, yo, man, what you know about answering the phone and being like, yo, man, call me back at 9?
So it's just kind of killed my.
I think. What do y'all think? Like, as far as the amount of music that comes out, not necessarily the amount of artists, but the amount of projects that artists put out now. Like, because back in those days, like DMX was crazy for dropping 2 albums in a year back in 98 or whenever it was. So it's like, nowadays that's almost expected of you. You better be dropping mixtapes and albums and all of that kind of stuff. So it kind of waters down the product, in my opinion, because it's like, bro, you can only if you have to produce so much quantity, then the quality's gonna drop because you're not able to, do different things. Like back in the day, niggas was coming out with an album maybe once every 2 years and shit like that. So you had time to sit with the music too. It wasn't always a new thing to be checking for.
I mean, oversaturation isn't good for no industry.
Yeah.
You can't name an industry where oversaturation is good. But I get it. I get why the labels tell these artists to oversaturate, because they realize the more records, it just more money they can make. Like, but my point be, and a lot of people don't have the I don't want to say they're scared, but I think they're scared. I think a lot of people are scared to just be like, you know what, we're gonna take our time, because one hit record can outsell 1,000 average records any day of the week. But I understand as a business, they like, what, fuck it, just keep putting out records, keep putting out records, keep putting out records. Eventually it's gonna add up. Eventually we're gonna make some money if you're doing any type of, if you have any type of fan base. But on a holistic level, it's like music, and I observe young kids, a lot of them, and they just don't seem to be as passionate about anything really as kids in my generation or kids in that's older. Like they just don't seem to have that attachment to nothing. And I think it's because it's easy, everything's easy to access. You don't have to make no emotional decisions, man. I tell people all the time, you know how many albums I had to choose over another album? And then when I realized the other album was sweeter, I had to scrape up some money to go get the I made the wrong choice. Like the music industry kind of killed itself, man, by taking away the nostalgia of it, man. There's no nostalgia surrounding music. Motherfuckers don't even really do no pre-release promo. You know, people projects just drop, and I get it because the analytics probably tell you wasting money with pre-release because these new kids, if it ain't out right then and there, they're upset. So, but you gotta accept what comes with it. You know, that's just the truth of the matter. Like you gotta accept what comes with it. Like oversaturation and over access to these artists and their music is why nobody is getting treated like superstars.
So wait a minute. So do you guys think that are we? So you guys are directly linking saturation or oversaturation to the lack of superstars?
I am, because you know too much. Like when I think about the people I thought were like, whoa, I really didn't know that much about them. I only knew them through their music. And I think that's why music sales don't go through the roof. You can only relate. See, you got to look at it like this. Humans are going to latch on to whatever you give them. Pre-social media, the only way I could really get to know Eminem is through releasing his music and music videos. In a in a
Interviews,
in a sparing interview, in a sparing
inter-
article.
interviews, articles.
Go on these fucking artist pages now and know everything about them. What they
Yeah.
doing with their kids?
No,
What they
I mean, no. The conversation is, if anything, what you want to say, artists have more opportunities to proverbially kill themselves today. They do. Like every day that an artist wakes up and gets online, they have the opportunity to do some shit that turns a fan off, or to do some shit that brings them back down to earth, which could quote unquote take them away from that superstar gravitational thing that we're talking about. Like you can't be on earth necessarily and be seen as a superstar. Is that what y'all, it was Twine, you specifically?
I think that social media and the over access, people just feel like they know you, and you're not, you get the family effect. Like when these superstars go back to their old neighborhood, they ain't treated like a superstar. They treated like Derek. I don't give a fuck who your rap name is. Like, and especially amongst your family, it's like when people think they know you, that's just a fact of humanity. The admiration kind of goes down. The fanatic in them goes away. Like, it's hard to be fanatical when a person is giving you everything about them. And the reason I say that, I lived in some crazy eras, and it's like, and I'm only talking musically, because this is the point I don't understand. And the music execs, any music exec out there, explain this to me. I haven't seen a music artist, listen to what I'm saying, create pandemonium since Justin Bieber. Like he went out in public and it was pandemonium. But I just saw a fucking Twitch dude and Kai, whatever his last name is, do it. So what is missing?
Artists putting themselves out there like that. A lot of it is that. A lot of it is putting yourself out there like that. Also having those type of like I don't even know how many people are willing to put their brand in a space like that to ask people to do something like that and people don't show up. I don't even know how many people are willing to even put their brand on the line to say, "Hey guys, I'm gonna be here."
Then you got to explain this to me. Then
They're
I
not even
get.
putting their brands on the line. I don't even people willing to deal with their ego getting fucked up and
I know
shot.
I'm saying right, but I guess I don't get how you're either not making good music or your story isn't good. What I'm saying is, you knew Justin Bieber was going to cause pandemonium. There was no question.
Well, no,
You
he
knew,
was Justin Bieber.
but he was
He was
nobody
an
before.
he was an anomaly.
I don't know if he's in I mean, other people cause pandemonium. I'm just
No,
saying.
I'm talking about Bieber specifically. It's kind of like Adele, one of a kind.
Okay, so then I got to go look at the labels. They're not finding one of a kind talent. There it is.
That's fair. That's part of it.
No, I think there's something to the what did you say, Twan? You said it's like the family effect.
Yeah.
I think that was a good way to put it because yeah, like there's certain celebrities, even celebrities that I follow on Instagram, like the ones who post a lot, like it does kind of feel like you know them, even though you don't know them. It's like I've never met this nigga, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like I know this nigga, you know what I'm saying? Versus like you were saying, somebody who's a little bit more exclusive with their personal life. You know, it seems like they tend to kind of have that superstar effect a little bit more. So I'll give you that.
She's very calculated in what she posts, and she don't post a ton.
Who we just say?
Beyonce.
Stop naming people that were create. Stop. I don't want to say created. Stop naming artists that started their journey before social media.
Well,
Bieber also even started his journey.
Oh, well, Flo is
on the tipping point.
Flaw's making my point. I feel like social media is part of the destruction. You're making my point because this is what I'm saying, Shane, is weird. You would think social media, which pushes you to more people than ever, would cause people to be bigger stars. But it's having the opposite effect.
It's creating more smaller artists. Well, it's creating more smaller stars.
Yes,
we're not getting artists that are growing into full stardom or superstar.
Let's call it what it is. It's creating more regional stars. That's all it's doing. You which we always had.
But it's easier. But it's also easier for a region or a local. It's easier for you to be in your own world, in your own ecosystem now as well, though.
That's what I was going to say. I don't necessarily think it's regional.
So I do agree with what
he.
But I agree with the notion. I do agree with the notion of from a regional. The equivalent of being regional was you appealed to a particular subsect of people, typically by area. Mm-hmm. Now, and what we're talking about, because the world has kind of knocked down that map portion of it.
Perfect. He's not from my area or nothing, but this is a perfect example. Mac Dre was a regional star in the Bay.
Right.
Caused pandemonium in the Bay.
Mm-hmm.
But he wouldn't necessarily call pandemonium in Detroit. You know, he was a regional star. The same way, if you want to say, you know, Royce the 5'9" might have caused more hype in Detroit than he might have somewhere else, or the Street Lords, things, Blade Icewood, you know, it's like that. It's the point I'm making. Like, to me, Blade Icewood is an example. If Blade Icewood, the way that he carried himself and how dope he was, and, you know, the way people fucked with him, social media, even though he was a regional star in a big one, social media will make you be like, damn, is he a national star? And I think that's where a lot of it gets confused, because it's like, I can name a bunch of people today that you look at them and you be like, damn, they're this thing, but really they're only still known in certain pockets. They're not really that thing. You know what I mean? So
no, I totally agree with you. I was just throwing it out there that I think it is regional in the sense that you're talking about where you're going to reach a smaller pocket of people and it's going to be more like niche in a way. But I don't think it's based on area really anymore because of the internet. So it's like you might have a few fans in Texas, a few in Cali, a few in New York, a few in Ohio, you know what I'm saying? And collectively that might end up being like what used to be a region, you know what I'm saying? So I just think it looks different now. That's all I was saying.
No, that's exactly what it looks different, but it's the same notion because you just don't have the ability to program people on a mass level as you used to.
Right.
So it's just
that's kind of ridiculous to me that greed or whatever caused the music industry to go in that way. They didn't think about that. Like, you're not really programming. You don't have access to program people all the time. Like, this is the point that I'm making. Like, YouTube, for money purposes, figured out that, motherfucker, I don't care what video you watching. In the middle of that bitch, I'm running this ad. I don't care what it is. I mean, like, I don't get why. What I'm saying is humans still will allow you to force shit on them. But the music industry, like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like,
I was actually talking with my guy this morning, and I was like, it's weird that I was like, and let me ask you all, like, is this nostalgic looking back, or is this I just am misremembering it? But like, was the radio as repetitive back when we was growing up as it is now? Because like every morning on my way to work, I hear the same 4 songs. You know what I'm saying? Literally the same 4 songs. I listen to a morning show. That's why I listen to it, because the show is funny. But the music is the exact same. On my 20-minute ride to work, I hear the same 4 joints every morning. So I'm like, was it like this in the 90s and shit? Or is this some new shit?
I knew the music was repetitive growing up, because I can literally remember like hearing the song and not liking it, and then they kind of forcing me to like it. Now, I don't know if it's more repetitive now, because I don't really listen to radio like that. Like, I listen to old school radio.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I listen.
Top 40 ain't 40 songs no more. I mean, it still is by the legal definition of top 40, but what actually makes it into like the airplay, you're probably down to like 16 to 20 songs.
Yeah, because I was like,
that are in heavy rotation.
Because in the cassette days, when it was like, dang, I got to catch this song on the radio next time so I can put it on my cassette real quick. You know what I'm saying? When it was those days, sometimes you might have to wait a few days before you hit or join again.
That's on you to have to wait a couple of days. But the average song that was in full rotation is getting 3 to 5 spins a day out of
back
a station.
Then
too? Back then you were doing 3 to 5 spins out of a station if you were doing pretty good. Now that numbers could be anywhere up to 7 to 13, 14, 15 plays.
Okay. So it's way worse now.
I mean, you got to think you got a crazy high record, and they're gonna play 2 minutes of it or whatever. From their perspective, you don't get, like, if you sit and listen to radio, and I might even try this week. You know how many times I hear bongo in a 2-hour stretch at radio, as an example. But like, that's kind of the way it's working right now. I mean, there were more. The reality is there were just more DJs there were actual DJs spinning at the stations at the time. So a lot of this is off playlists. Not saying that it ain't DJs still putting it together and whatnot. Not saying that. Shout out to all the station mixers and all of that out there. But
the thing that
you said what?
No, this is the thing that's been proven multiple times, and people keep falling for it, or that's how they want to consume their money. It happened with boxing, right? The popularity of boxing, and especially the heavyweight division, has declined immensely since they took it off broadcast television. Since you took it off broadcast television and you start making it more pay to play, it's not as nostalgic no more. Because the average family, the average American family that couldn't afford $75 to watch the fight could turn on Channel 2 and watch Muhammad Ali fight somebody for free. Right? So the point I'm making is I even look at radio. When radio started letting satellite radio come in, and then you had to pay for satellite radio, and a lot of DJs went over to satellite radio, you're going to lose some people who just can't afford it. You're going to see the same thing with my favorite sport in the world and sports in general, where the NFL is already playing around with playing games that can only be seen on specific streaming apps that you have to pay for. Like, if they keep going forward with that model, they're going to see a drop off and a disconnect. Because I think a lot of people overestimate humans love free and humans love convenience. Like, oh, Ali on, turn it on. Not know, oh, call Comcast. How much is the fight? It's $80. Let me call 3 of my homies to see if they want to go 20 apiece. Can I scrap up to 80? But that's America and capitalism, man. Like, you're going to see it. I see it now. I'm hearing rumors that, a lot of these social media apps about to start charging. Like, we're going to see.
Man, this has been a lot. This has been a lot. This has been a lot. I mean, did you have something else y'all wanted to talk about today, man? This has been a week.
Man, this is what I want to talk about. I want to talk about why both my quarterbacks in fantasy both took a shit this week, and I ended up losing to my mans by 9 points in fantasy football. And it wouldn't have mattered which quarterback I put in. That shit trash. And I don't like how, what I'm saying, that shit is basically just based on injuries and luck of the draw type shit. But my niggas in the group chat be talking crazy shit because I don't be participating. But this is why right here. So I'm just complaining about fantasy football. That's all I got.
I've never played fantasy football in my life, but that's football in general. It's all conducive of who's injured, who's hurt, who's in, who's availability.
That's it.
Available. Now you have some people that are very consistent, but you got to realize that the NFL is based on figuring you out. Like,
right, because they be giving projected points on my quarterbacks. Like, yeah, this nigga gonna get 20 fantasy points. This nigga gonna get 22 fantasy points, and then in the real game he gets 3. I'm like, come on, dog. Like, I'm supposed to be able to trust what the app is telling me.
I really deep dive in that fantasy shit. Like, I'm a football fanatic. I know if I played fantasy, I probably would do really well because I'm a deep dive. I'm gonna look at everything. I'm gonna look at, does this quarterback play good indoors? Does he play bad out? Where is he playing? Jeff Goff, historically, as of right now, doesn't really play well outdoors. Yeah. So I wouldn't necessarily be like, oh, Jeff Goff about to throw for 400 yards in February at Soldier Field. Like, you got to know and put some intel into what the fuck are you doing. Like, who is the opponent? Like, oh, such and such going to run for 100 yards. Well, why? Okay, well, no, I know he's not because he missing 3 offensive linemen.
Right. See,
like, that ain't gonna add up. Like, man, that shit is like all about paying attention. And what these gamblers hope is that you're not a fanatic, that you're just a casual, and that's how they make their money, off the casual person.
Oh, we're not playing for bread. We playing purely for shit talking. That's it. So, I can take that.
And that's probably why I never played fantasy football. Because
I'm not playing for bread. Fuck that.
Like, I want to win something and not no weak ass fantasy trophy. Like, at the end of the day, it's like, I get why people love it because they love sports, they love football. But
yeah,
as I get older, I only watch the teams I like. Like, I don't even really like, and I'm gonna be honest, I stopped watching NFL in general like, oh, I'm gonna just watch an NFL game if it ain't the playoffs 12, 13 years ago. All I watch is the Lions. I try to catch every.
You sound like my pops. That's exactly what he do. Like, he watches nothing but the Lions, and then he watches the playoffs. That's it.
And I could give a shit less about everybody else.
What about the NBA? You watch you?
I watch way more college football because it's way better to me. Like, it's way better than the NFL to me because you're still having kids that are playing with more passion. I think all this mega conference shit, because I gotta go, but I think all this mega conference shit and NIL. No, it got a little bit.
All right. Okay.
I think this mega conference shit and the NIL shit is gonna make college football be more like the NFL, which I don't think is gonna be a good thing. But hey, I'm all for players getting paid. I just wish they had a better system because now I try to tell people, like, I think it's going to have an inverse effect in the NFL. It's going to get more data because what has happened a lot of times is you draft kid A, but kid A never had no money. And then as soon as you give him a check, he doesn't have motivation no more. So I think that's going to help the NFL because as some of these NIL deals reaches 7 figures, now at 18, you might be able to see, like, oh, dude signed.
He got a little bit of money. He got a little bit of back. He got a little paper.
And now he ain't going as hard.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
that's going to be a thing.
You know, like, you know, my thing is that nobody's talking about, and I hate to say it because, you know, the athletes ain't all black or none of that, but the majority of these athletes are black. And what I'm hoping and praying is that somebody's teaching these kids about taxes. And 8 years from now, we're not about to have 200 people going to jail for tax evasion. Like, I just hope they're educating them on everything that comes with receiving a check.
Yeah, for sure.
I pray they're doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely need that for sure.
Well, look, I appreciate everybody for tuning in again. This has been another crazy ass episode of OTI. I mean, we're I don't know what's been going up the last couple of weeks. We've all had a lot going on. I hope everybody out there is well. And we'll continue to do our part, and we're gonna continue to get better. I'm gonna actually, I don't know, get some rest. And maybe show a little bit more energy next week. Cause I'm like dog ass tired this week, guys. I'm like really fucking tired. But neither here nor there.
Running around.
Man, I just had a lot to do. It's just a lot to do. But the show must go on. I'm not bitching. I'm not complaining. Nonetheless, this has been another great episode of OTI here on Ethos Media Network. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell everybody that you know, and we'll see you here next time.
Peace.